Hi, Kourtnee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I started asking Kourtnee about an Instagram post with her grandma that just lit up. I mean, as far as, viral, this and that, you got 1.5 million or whatever likes on it. And it's just one of those little bits of social media that are so heartwarming because you are coloring her hair. And tell us about that.
Well, I was entering in a Pulp Riot contest and they sent me all the different colors. I was like, Grandma, I really want to try it. So she was like, sure, try it on me. And I'm like, do you want just one color? She was like, do whatever you want. So I basically
Wow.
put them all on her head. I was like, why not? And then to me, I've done stuff like this before. So it's not a shocker to me, but I ended up just recording the whole thing. It felt like it was gonna hit like worldwide. I didn't know it was gonna be that big, but it just hit worldwide and it's still going. It's been like a year and a half and it's still going.
No kidding. Still going, like you're still getting comments and stuff. I think I just looked at it. There you had like 15,000 comments or something nutty on there. So people are still commenting?
Yep, they're still commenting. I still get people with podcasts that reach out talking about it, or people that some people want to see if they want to collaborate with the two of us. It's insane.
Funny. That's so funny. So you've pinned it to the front, to the top, I should say, of your feed, which is, of course, something Instagram has allowed us to do now for a while. And I've made absolutely zero use of that. I've, I'm not very good at my gram anymore. I'm just not. I post about every 3 weeks, kind of just barely keeping my head above water, just getting a gasp of air every now and then I sink back down into the water of every 2 or 3 weeks, and then I come back up and I post something. But that was super cool. The listeners are probably like, would you introduce her already? I'm going to introduce you now. You're a Jacksonville, Florida hairdresser. You focus on lived in color, and you've got a what seems like a normal business behind the chair. You're great on social media, and so we're going to get into all the little tips and tricks and best practices and things that you've used to have a successful business so far.
Let's
Sound
do
good?
it.
Let's do it. Well, let's start with where you're from and how you got into this business in the first place.
Well, my name is Kourtnee Jinright, and I've been a hairstylist for 11 years now, but I've been doing social media for about 8. And I originally wanted to be a sign language interpreter,
Huh.
but school is just not for me. I'm not good with books, reading, any of that. So my dad had suggested, hey, like, you're very, like,
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Why sign language interpreter? Do you have a brother?
no, I know I don't have anybody in the family who's deaf or hard of hearing, but I went to school and there was just a couple of people like in the neighborhood that was deaf, and then at
Huh.
school that was deaf, and I was like, I want to talk to them. I wanted my mission to be able to talk to them. And so then they're like, oh, well, there's classes that you could take here at in high school. I'm like, no shit. So I took the class and I became absolutely obsessed with it. I took ASL 1, 2, 3, and did like a little college thing and passed it, but then didn't realize how much schooling it actually takes to become an interpreter, which is just not going to work for me.
Why does it take so much? And here's all of my stupidity flowing out through my mouth. Why does it take so much schooling? Is it not just the language with your hands?
I wish it was, and that's what I thought. And then they're like, no, you got to do math, science, all that stuff. I'm like, I'm out. I'm
What do you
out.
mean?
I hardly passed that in high school. What makes you think I'm going to go to college and pass that? Like I mean, the skin in my teeth, I passed it.
Why, and what's the justification for math and science for being a sign language interpreter?
Your guess is as good as mine. I have no clue.
Wow.
I know.
That sounds like all the sign language interpreters out there basically wanted to create a moat around themselves to prevent new people from becoming sign language. We're going to make them study science and math. That's
It's
going to prevent more people from competing.
yeah, it's just too much. So that obviously didn't work out. So my dad was like, "You need to do something visual." Clearly, because sign language is very visual. So I think you'd be good at hair. And I'm like, why would I ever want to work at hair cuttery? And he's like, no, no, no. You can work at an actual, like, really nice salon. But I had just lived with my dad, and he always gave me $10 to go get a haircut. And he was like, you're not getting a blow dry. You're not getting anything else. So that's all I ever knew what hair was, you know?
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so he was like, well, if you do that, you don't like it, you can always do something else later, but then that could be like a job, and I will pay for you to basically stay here. You can live here for free, but then you got to pay for everything else. So I went to school full time. I had another job on the side, graduated, and then just kept working at like a scrub outlet stores for like medical scrubs. I just worked there
Okay.
until I built my clientele.
Okay, so this is very interesting. This is an unusual origin story because usually when someone wants to go to hair school, they want to go to hair school because they've been doing all their friends, and they've been experimenting with just massacring their high school girlfriends with box dye or whatever, or taking kitchen shears and doing their best. And then the family doesn't want them to come anywhere near hair school. And here you are. Your dad actually suggested it to you, which is so interesting. Were you good at doing your own hair?
No, I'm like when I tell you, so my parents got a divorce when I was 14. So that's like when a young girl starts high school who gets into makeup, starts dating, starts doing hair. I knew how to do nothing. So
Huh.
when I went into cosmetology school, I was like stupid compared to them. Like, because it's like they know at least how to curl their hair or do like a full face makeup. And I was in there bare face, just straighten my hair like a board. I didn't know anything. So
Very interesting.
it was
Did
new.
you did you like it?
I was I'm still kind of that way. I'm very, very shy when I meet new people. So it was very hard for me because it was very catty. I didn't like that
Mm.
part. But I went to like a really like cheap school just to get by. I mean, I literally I cannot remember anything that I learned from that school because it was like $4,000 compared to like
Oh,
Palm
wow.
or Veda. I went to like
Yeah,
a community college thing.
got it. And this was where again?
It was a First Coast Technical College.
Florida?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, and so how many hours did you have to get?
I think we had to get like 1,200 hours,
Okay, so you were there for a while, about a year.
about a year.
You had a real job,
Mhm.
and you were kind of okay. So yeah, let's say towards the end, or let me ask the question this way: were you asking yourself what you were doing there the whole time, or did you start feeling like that was what you wanted to do?
Well, I definitely felt like I was failing all throughout. I was like, I don't know if this is for me or not. They're like, well, you just got to give it time. You have to get a job like halfway through this to start assisting to really know what it's like to be, you got to do it on the outside. I'm like, true. So then that's what I did. And then I started to like it, but I was just so scared. Like, I
Mm.
didn't want to ruin anybody's day or like, can I cuss on here?
Yes, you
I
already
didn't
did.
fuck up anybody's hair, like, that's traumatizing.
Mhm.
So, really, I was just so worried about everybody all the time that it made it really hard to enjoy because I just cared too much.
Right. So it's at this point when I would ask you, what would you say to the younger you who was in school? If she was instead of me here, speaking virtually, what if you had your younger you that you were talking to? What would you say to her?
I would tell her to go find somebody to mentor and to really find someone that you find inspiring and look up to them and just work behind them until you build up the courage um, to finally be behind the chair. Because I felt like I didn't have that. I mean, I worked with some
Mhm.
owners, but I needed somebody more like, I don't know, like people you would see in the industry that are more higher up
Yeah.
to be
So
behind.
you look for a mentor. Now, I have two little kids who are growing up, and I give them great advice, the best advice ever I give them
Of
on a
course.
daily basis, and they listen to absolutely none of it. And they come up with reasons why not to do what I'm suggesting. And so, as you're telling your younger self to go find a mentor, I'm hearing your younger self say, snap back at you, saying things like, how would I do that? What do you mean? I'm not going to do that. Who would I even talk to? So, want to answer some of those questions. How would you recommend to your younger self to go find a mentor?
Well, I think it's easier to say, like, talk kind of in the now because social media wasn't a big thing back then to find your mentors versus it's so much easier to find people now just by looking up the salons and just finding stylists that have been there for a really long time that really have knowledgeable skills. So I would just say to look it up on social media. You can find anything on social media these days, you know?
I say all the time to people, especially younger beauty professionals, if you want to learn a lot from somebody, if there's somebody in your town or even your neighborhood that you look up to, hit them up, DM them. More often than not, they're going to be very receptive to, you reaching out and offer to help, offer, free time. I mean, I got into this business because my mentor, I asked the guy who came up with the studio concept originally in Texas, um, he became my mentor. And I asked him, I worked for him for free for a year. I was able to do that because I was, similar to what you said about your dad, I was living at home with my parents for free.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that with him. And that's how I learned about the industry. So that was before social media, but social media makes it even easier to communicate. And so don't be shy about stuff like that on social media, people.
And you never know. If you don't ask, how are you going to know?
If you don't ask, how are you going to know? What's the worst that can happen?
They could say no. Okay, well then move on to somebody else, you know.
They
But
could
a lot of
say,
people won't.
no, they won't. They could say, fuck off, but they're not going to because nobody really does that,
And if they do, they're horrible.
right?
Horrible.
Actually, if they do, it's kind of funny. That would be like a funny thing in your day that
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, they actually told me to fuck off. I can't believe that. But of course, there's another many number of people who could give you the same mentorship and would be willing to give you the same mentorship. So absolutely, reach out there and try. Okay, so that's your advice to the younger you. And of course, I asked the question because we have a lot of beauty school people who listen to the podcast. And so we like to give advice to people who are just starting out as well as people who have been doing it a long time.
I love
All
that.
right. So you get to the end of beauty school, and what were you like then? What was your mindset?
Towards the end, I was just like, get me out of here. You know, there's just some catty people. I don't like that type of stuff. So I ended up working at a salon and I was actually so bad at doing hair that they almost were like, you should go work at hair cuttery. They literally said those words. And that's
Now,
what
hair cuttery, hold on. For the West Coasters, because, well, we have people all over that listen to us, but of course, we're based kind of Salon Republic's based on the West Coast. So for the West Coasters who don't know, the hair cuttery was, maybe still is, the largest private salon chain out there. And I think there are, I don't know, 800 or whatever hair cutteries out there, but it's kind of a supercuts level. Am I right?
yes.
There you go.
So
All right.
basically,
So they said you were so bad, you should go work at the hair cuttery.
yeah. So it basically lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, they're about to fire me. So I need to stop being so anxious. I'm just an anxious little nervy girl, you know?
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel safe and I just didn't at that time. So I went home and cried, definitely. And then the next day I acted like nothing ever happened. And it was like game on. And then honestly, it's so funny because later they were like, holy cow, I don't know what happened, but you just became like untouchable. I'm like, yeah, like don't say that to me.
What happened? Well,
I
I
just,
mean, what you're describing is an inflection point, right? Between pre-Kourtney and post-Kourtney. And that inflection point is what a lot of people look for. Well, everybody's looking for that, who doesn't feel like they're quite leveled up. So what happened?
I honestly don't know why. I don't know if they just didn't like me, if I wasn't moving fast enough as an assistant, but I literally became the best assistant they've ever had. I don't know now, but like I learned the front desk, I learned the back, I learned literally anything, everything. I had all their colors pre-mixed up. I was basically multitasking times five, and I made sure that they were never going to say that to me ever again. So I'm like my dad's daughter. It's like, you have something bad to say about me, I'm going to prove you wrong. So that's just exactly what I did.
Love
And,
it.
even though I wasn't really that great at hair, I became the best assistant. And then I slowly just, I've had my fair share of mess ups, but it's more of like your attitude and the way I handled it. I wasn't so like crying all the time, and I just stopped, you know, letting it get to me so bad. Let that be
Absolutely.
motivation.
It was an attitude shift. It wasn't necessarily that you spent, all night uh, learning about different hair techniques or whatever. It was an attitude shift. You showed up the next day with a tenacious sort of attitude, and you wanted to do great. You found that inner strength, which is so awesome. And so many people want to do that.
It's hard, but I tell people now they're so quick to want to be behind the chair. And I'm like, honestly, if you keep rushing it, you're missing out on like the best parts of it, especially like if, in the future, if you ever want to go on your own and be like, a salon suite owner, you want to know all the ins and outs, how to check people out, how to have, good verbiage, good consultations, and practice on shampooing, practice your social media. There's so much more than just doing hair. So,
Hmm.
my advice to everybody is literally learn everything, all the ins and outs, and do not rush it. Like, perfect every single thing, even if it seems so small, like wrapping a towel up, like perfect it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Phenomenal advice. Okay. So you became the best assistant in the salon. And then what?
So after that, I started behind the chair and I took a bunch of classes. I worked at like a commission salon for a couple of
Hmm.
years. And then I decided, I think I want to do my own thing. And that one was really scary because I didn't know a lot. And it scared me so bad when I went on my own that I backtracked again and I went to another commission salon because I realized quickly this was a lot. And I was really young and I didn't know enough about hair. Like I knew about everything else, but not enough about hair. And I always would go to my coworkers and ask things, but there was nobody to turn to. So I was like, okay, I need to do some self reflection and I need to learn that this is not failing. This is just another step to redirection. So I worked at another commission salon for a couple years. Then I got bored and I was like, I want something bigger. I want something better. And then I moved to Jacksonville from St. Augustine to
Hmm.
Jacksonville.
Okay. And so as I'm following your story, I'm wondering, so you didn't quite have the technical education, the depth of technical education, but isn't that why people assist and work in the commission salon to get that kind of education?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely was mentored, I guess, like under the owner, but I would have rather had like Dom Hair, Jacob
Sure.
Kwan. I would have
Yeah.
loved to mentor somebody like that to really perfect haircutting or perfect coloring. So
So
I kind of,
you need a more depth of education. And so
yes.
did you get that with your second round of commission salon experience?
I think I got a lot more. And then when I went to the third salon is when I got the most education because it
Okay.
was education that was more based on what I liked. So I really
Mhm.
honed in and niched down on what
Got
something
it.
that grabbed my attention and something I love to do.
Got it. And you had probably had enough years under your belt and multiple salons and plenty of heads to practice on your clients to recognize what you really, really liked and what you didn't like. And was this when you started settling in on lived in color?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when balayage had really taken off. And then obviously, years go by and it's more lived in now. Everybody wants to save coins and do something with their natural hair. So for me, it was just really fun to kind of meet clients in the middle that says like, hey, you can come in 3 times a year. This is what the cost is. So it actually is less than coming in every 6 to 8 weeks.
hmm hmm Okay. So then, and then what happened? Did you stay in that salon for a long time or did you go somewhere else?
So then I started getting like, I don't know, there were so many people that worked in that salon. It's like a huge salon here in Jacksonville. There's two of them and they're very, very successful. But for me, like, I cannot do the catty drama. There's just so many people that work there. You know that there's going to be some type of drama. So that started interfering with me because I was the only person who was really doing social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just felt like I was not fitting in. I
Mm-hmm.
was different than the rest. So was like, am I doing something wrong? I would always like, I don't know. I felt like the energy was messing with what I really wanted. So then I decided to leave and go on my own. And that was this March. And it's been the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Oh, amazing. And so where did you go? Booth rental or studio?
A studio.
Okay. And talk about that process that like when you started thinking about it, I imagine there was a process of recognizing that the energy wasn't right and where you're working and you probably started having those feelings of, oh God, I don't really want to go to the salon. I love the clients I'm going to see today, but I don't really like the environment. So how long between when you started realizing that that wasn't the place for you and when you actually left?
Well, I realized it it was like it wasn't for me whenever I realized that I was involved with the shit talking because I'm
Ah,
typically a very happy person. I'm full of energy. I'm like, everybody have a good day. And then I started realizing, that saying, it's like if you sit at the table and they start talking crap about somebody, you know that they're probably talking about you.
right.
So then I started realizing,
Or I think the saying is technically, if you don't know who they're talking shit about, they're talking shit about you. I think there's a few different varieties of that saying, but I think that's the one that's most appropriate here.
we would be at lunch and then just shit talking. They would come to the back, talk about somebody, could go to the front, then that person talk. And I was like, and it wasn't even necessarily that I was talking, I was agreeing with them. And I'm like, but I don't actually agree with you. And I'm sitting here like feeding into it. And I'm like thinking, what am I doing? I actually really like this girl. And I'm sitting here just, I'm not standing up in my power and like saying something or being like, no, I'm not involved in it. I was almost just too, I was like, this is not me. I'm becoming somebody that I never wanted to be.
My daughter is 13 years old. And so on a daily basis, where my wife and I are drenched in stories that sound exactly like what you're telling me. Lunch at school, and the girls are they're going on about this girl, and that girl might be a friend of my daughter's, but she doesn't feel fully comfortable standing up for the girl because there's 10 other girls around her that are all talking poorly about her. And it's a tough situation. And of course, my wife and I are like, no, you need to stand up for your friend. But it's like, God, she's only 13 years old. And you got these 10 catty girls around her. It's much harder, much easier said than done to stand up, in a situation like that. So it's just very funny to hear this, and
nobody
So
ever taught me how to stand up for somebody. Like, you know what
good.
I mean? So, and it was always well, I don't want to not be liked. And there's like 60 girls who work here and I'm going to be the
Yeah.
only one. So it was a lot for me. And it
And
caused so much unnecessary anxiety. Just
who
unnecessary.
really wants to work somewhere where you have to constantly be standing up for somebody?
It's just too much. So then I started realizing I'm like, why I really started to sit with myself. When I got home, I was exhausted. I was always like, what do these girls even think of me? Like, is this, asking all the questions, this isn't healthy. This is bad. Like, I need to be in a place. I'm actually an introvert. Why am I at such an extroverted place? What am I doing? Then I was like, what is everybody going to think of me? Are people going to follow me? All the questions, the self doubt that starts to creep in when you go to make such a big change. You want to do it. You're just freaked out because it's
Mm-hmm.
the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So you started thinking about working somewhere else, and what were your options? I mean, you don't have to name salon names or anything, but like you looked around, and what were the options in Jacksonville?
And I still have a great relationship with the owner too, so it's not her; it's just some
Good,
people. But
of course.
so some of the options I was thinking, I did have a non-compete, so I was a little worried about that. But the owner was very sweet with it, and she was always just like, "Hey, if you're really unhappy, just come talk to me." So I was like, okay. But I started thinking, I'm like, I don't want to go to another commission salon. There is a lot of salons out here. Then I was like, booth rental or salon suite. And then I was like, well, the whole point of me saying all this is because I think I'm better alone than working with other women. Um, so I was like, I'm just gonna go check out one. And then I checked out one. He was like, yeah, this is the only one that we have left. And I'm like, well, crap, that means I would have to quit like this week or next week, or else, it could be taken in like a second. So everything happened so fast. More, I mean, I was not prepared, that's for sure, but I did it.
So, if you had more time to prepare, what would that have looked like?
Mm. Well, I'm really happy that I had a savings account. I did have that. So if anybody's ever thinking about it, definitely have at least 5,000 set aside because you just never know. I would have prepared to, you know, find an accountant, open up a business bank account. I had just done the business bank account, but I didn't do enough research. Like I wish I had more, bought slowly, months before bought color stock. I wish I would have written down formulas. I had to redo all that stuff. But I also am somebody that I don't like. I guess this happened for a reason though, because I'm not somebody who I like to hold things in. So if I hold things in for too long, you're going to notice that I'm going to be acting weird. So I guess it kind of happened the way it was supposed to. Just
Yeah.
done my research.
Yeah, got it. And did you, in what condition was the information of your clients? Did you have the information of your clients?
No, I mean, I didn't have anybody's root formulas or toner,
Oh, wow.
nothing. So I kind of just like, well, let's do it. Let's figure it out.
And so you're going to let them know. Do they follow you on social? I
Yeah.
guess, like, is that how you're going to communicate?
So everybody pretty much followed me on social media prior. And this is like something that never happens. But when I told the owner, she was like, okay, I'm going to have, when we reach out to clients, I'll have them reach out to you. So she pretty much gave everybody to me. She was very
That's nice.
understanding, and that like never happens. So I
Oh,
was beyond blessed for that.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And now that you've been in your studio, you tell us what it's been like.
It's been wonderful. I mean, obviously, like it's a new world because you have to book your own appointments, all this stuff. Um,
Do you use a booking app?
I use Gloss Genius, but I have everybody call me through. I have two phones. Have everybody call me through my business phone to keep that separate, and I pretty much reschedule everybody when they're in, so I don't really get contacted too much. But I don't do online booking, but I do book everything through Gloss Genius.
Got it. So you're using Gloss Genius to book your clients. However, they don't have access to it. Only you do. So your calendar is kept on Gloss, and probably your client information is kept on Gloss.
Correct.
Got it. Interesting. And why aren't you opening it up publicly for people to book on it?
Well, for one, I there's so many new people that they don't know what they're actually booking for. So they're like, "Oh, I want a balayage," but I'm like, "This is a color correction for like 10 days worth." You know what I mean?
Right.
So like,
Right.
that's not gonna work, sis. So
Yeah.
I'm not able to take new clients at the moment, but every
Mm.
time I do a price increase, somebody, drops off and then I'll be able to take on new people. So I have like a client wait list on a broadcast channel on my Instagram to keep up with new clients.
Got it. So that's the number one complaint that I hear from hairdressers or anybody who uses a booking app is the clients don't know what they're booking themselves for enough that it doesn't have to be unwound. The client chooses the wrong service, and then that service is it's 60 minutes, but what they actually need is 3 hours, and that can screw up the books and cause a lot of problems. So I've definitely heard that one before. Um, okay, and so you've gotten to the point where your books are full, and you do a good job of rebooking at the end of appointments. And some people have been saying for the last 12 months or so not to rebook people, not to rebook your clients when they're in the salon. Have you heard this argument?
I have heard it go around, but I want to know why. I mean, I wouldn't suggest, how like 5, 10 years ago, you used to want to book them like 3 or 4 times out.
Mm,
And I get why you don't do that because they always end up moving or canceling. So I get that. And also, after 3 months, I don't book out like more than 3 months because you want to be able to take a vacation or to close your books off. But I do always do at least one.
hmm
What
Yeah,
would
I
it?
think I think that's exactly why. Those people that I've interviewed and the things that I've seen out there in salon media or on Instagram, the people who say, stop booking out, your clients so far. I think it has a lot to do with the limited flexibility and the fact that the farther you go out, the less integrity that appointment on the book has. The more likely they're going to want to change it, or they're not going to show up, or they're going to cancel. So yeah, I think you walk a really fine, not fine line, but you walk it's a good balance between booking out, only 3 months, so you maintain kind of the integrity of the book as well as your flexibility to go have a vacation or something. So that makes a lot of sense. What are the other things that you're doing in your studio that are allowing you to be so successful?
I think okay, I don't double book at all. I think me spending more quality time with somebody, but charging more works best for me. I'm not saying this for everybody, but for me, it works because they don't like to feel like pushed to the side. They don't like to feel rushed if they're paying such a large amount, right? Um, and it's more of like an experience. So I'm sometimes like I even give them lunch, sometimes it's, coffee or whatever. I really want them to feel at home and that I'm like taking care of them fully. And I think being very consistent on social media is definitely helping me.
Hmm. Absolutely. Did you used to book out double?
Yeah, I used to double book the whole entire career, but
Hmm.
I just realized one, it caused me so much anxiety. And then when I stopped doing it, I was like, wow, I actually like really like my job now. And I would go home and I'm like, yeah, I feel great. Like, and my fiance, she's like, oh my gosh, like you just seem like such a lighter person. I'm like, I feel lighter. I don't have to like rush around because I care so much about their experience. So I want to make sure it's everything. They don't feel like I'm just pushing them to the side.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I hear that from clients all the time. I hear the complaint about she's got three other clients at the same time, and I'm wondering if she's paying attention. And I definitely hear that. So, if your clientele is such that they're willing and able to pay a higher price to justify, your time exclusively, then that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I'm wondering what the but I'm as I say that, I'm wondering what the difference in cost is to them. Previously you were at a commission salon, so you weren't necessarily pricing yourself, but the pricing to your clients, how has that changed from when you were working at the commission salon and double booking to how you're working now in your studio?
Well, at the previous commission salon, I was doing, double booking all day, every day. And then I was making 40%. And then I was doing a la carte. So people could pick and choose what they wanted. They would book like that. But then when they came in, they'd be like, well, I'll just like take off the haircut. And then it would like screw up my time. It would screw up how much I was going to make. I wasn't making much at that time. And then here now, obviously, like I I tried in the beginning to do package pricing because I thought that would be very helpful for everybody. But in the end, I figured that hourly worked best for me and it was less to say because I felt like I was like over explaining myself. And now I'm just like, hey, I charge 120 an hour and it just comes with everything. And it's all about my time, right? So
Mhm.
I know I need to make ABC in order to pay all of my bills, everything at the salon, the color, and then just to be happy, you know?
Mhm. Okay. So hourly pricer. And so you started this when you moved into the independent situation in your studio. And I totally get the having to over explain things. Did any of your clients shudder at the idea of paying hourly? Has there been any downside to charging hourly?
Um, for me, no. My clients, I will say, they stay. They are loyal and they have stayed for a long time. We have so much trust and connection, and I think that's what separates it and makes it, where they don't question me.
Mhm.
Like new clients, they come in, they're nervous, they don't know me, they start to question you a little bit. Who are you? Why are you charging that much? What does it come with? And my anybody that I say, hey, like I'm going to price increase from 110 to 120, they're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Doesn't phase them. New clients, when I just say, hey, it's 120 an hour, this is what I have available, they will just say yes or no. They don't nickel and dime me. They don't try to. I mean, I've had one person been like, well, can it be 3 hours instead of 4? And I'm like, unfortunately, no. But I can give you another recommendation that can meet you at your budget. I think you'll be just as happy.
And when you give the estimation of time, and that example is 4 hours, what if it's something happens and you're able to do it in 3 hours? You then just charge 3 hours?
I just charge 3 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I
It's to
mean,
the point, and they're not really like itemizing it
yeah,
anymore. They're just kind of like,
right,
okay, well, it is what it is.
right. And it seems to make sense. It's a reasonable amount of money for somebody who is an expert at what they do and is going to make me look beautiful. Certainly, uh, a more justified charging structure when you're exclusively with one client, though. If
Mhm.
you're double booking, I could see, I'm thinking about my wife when she's at the salon and stuff. And I'm thinking, like, there might be moments when maybe she's processing, or, it's not like she's not doing it. She's sitting there doing something, and maybe the hairdresser's working on another client. I could see her thinking, she's not even spending any time on me, but yet I'm paying $120 an hour. That's kind of makes me feel weird. So the way that you've structured it seems to make a lot of sense.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
I mean, it sounds like you're in a really, really great position. You probably have no plans on changing anything. I mean, are there any changes you want to make in the way that you happen to be doing things at the moment?
Um,
Clients don't listen to this show very much, so you can speak pretty freely.
I don't think so. I mean, I will say I brag a lot about my clients because they are awesome. They listen to me if I need to change anything. If I'm like, hey, I'm really working on my people pleasing and I need to set firm boundaries. So like, hey, I get it. Like, I'm with you. If you need me to change anything, let me know. I don't think so. I've thought about, oh, what if I had, an assistant? And then I'm like, dang, this place is so small. There's no way. It wouldn't be fair to the
Mm,
client, wouldn't be fair to the assistant that wouldn't be getting the proper training. So
mhm.
I don't think so. Never say never, but not right now.
Well, let's talk about the studio that you took because that was the last one in that location. And so
Mhm.
you didn't have much optionality for size or, window or close to the front or close to the back or whatever. Is there, um, do you have any advice for people who are looking at studios to keep an eye on this part or that part? Like right now, do you wish that you had a bigger studio or a smaller studio or it had this or that?
So I do wish my studio had better lighting. I think if that opportunity presents itself at a good price point, I would reconsider moving. I'm very
Hmm.
happy where I'm at. When I first started, I was in a place in a room that had no window at all. So
Hmm.
I just had to make it work.
Hmm.
And I told myself, like, a window suite is coming. I believe in that. And within like 2 or 3 months, it came.
Hmm.
So when I went to go look at this place, I was really focused on, okay, what are all, go to every single one within your area, even if you think it's far or anything, because some of them have deals that they have to, incentives to get you in. So really like checking on price. I know that most people want really good lighting, and I know that's really important. However, if you really want to get out and try something, typically it's cheaper to do that than go into a room with lighting. So
Hmm.
that might be a good start to see if you even like it.
Hmm.
Check on the contracts, make sure, they're not going to be putting you into a 2, 3 year contract. I'm really
Hmm.
weird about contracts now. And just really make sure that the owner of the place is taking care of his space. So, for example, like when I went through, I was like, how do the bathrooms look? Are they clean? Like,
Hmm.
I'm super weird about cleanliness. I don't want my clients to be paying $120 an hour and they're going into a grimy bathroom.
Yeah.
Don't like that. So I
Yeah.
just kind of, the owner was super nice. Ask about, you know, it's not PTO, like weeks that you don't have to pay rent. Sometimes they have incentives like that.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And let's go to social media now. So you're really good on Instagram. Are you on TikTok?
Yes, I am on TikTok.
And is that an eye roll? I have to do TikTok?
Ugh. It's a lot. Like, it's like do this, do that. And so I finally got on it. And honestly, I'm pissed I didn't do this sooner because I get paid on TikTok and I don't get paid on Instagram.
Ah,
Dang.
yes. Wow. Mic drop. I mean, give us an idea of how much. I mean, is it like $1,000 a month or is it
Um,
$200? Is it five? You don't have to tell us exactly, but just kind of, you know.
Listen, I'm gonna be straight up. I'm very forward. I'm very to the point. So Instagram, they used to have bonuses, and then right before my video went viral on Instagram, the grandma video, I could have made so much money. They took it away. So I
Ah,
made nothing off. I don't make anything off Instagram. The only way I make money is if somebody reaches out to me for a collaboration or something like that.
mm,
TikTok has this creator fund, and I saw this other hairstylist say, oh, I this is how much money I make, and like it's not much but it's some, and I'm like, are you serious right now? So I literally went to my fiance, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to post all my old videos, but you have to have it where it's a minute or longer.
okay.
My first month I only started this like 4 months ago, and I went from 20,000 followers, and now I'm to 111,000. I post every single day. My first month, I made 500. That was in a month.
Okay.
The second month, I was like, "Are you kidding? $4,000."
What?
Four? No, hear me out.
Come on.
Just posted an old
Stop.
video. No, it gets better. Wait.
Don't even say it.
Swear. So it was this video that I posted of my client. She wanted to change her hair before her wedding, and it was my reactions. And I just literally posted old content because I was like, this is so much. But then I started seeing it get traction. And then one day I looked, just because you can check every day. I'm like crazy like that. I'm checking every day to see how much I'm making. And
Well, it's fun.
it's like,
Yeah.
let's go, like $1,000. And the next thing you know, I look and it's $3,000. And I'm texting my fiance,
Come
like,
on.
oh my gosh. Third month, we got this wonderful offer to buy this specific house I'm literally sitting in. We just bought it 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
$4,000.
No. Stop.
Everything I made from TikTok for a down payment.
Holy shite. Wait, I'm going to your TikTok right now.
That's all she wrote, folks.
Oh my God.
Now this month ain't looking too hot, but
the what?
So this month ain't looking too hot, but
oh, it's a down month.
So
okay, well, I mean, even if you never make another dime, I mean, it's pretty awesome. I didn't realize that the numbers were like that. Okay, so what's your handle on TikTok?
It's The Color Chemist, and color is COLOUR.
Mm-hmm. So the same handle. Okay, here you are. I'm going to follow you. Ooh, I have all sorts of messages coming in. I never go on TikTok.
Oh, I see you.
I'm the opposite of you. They like charge me to go on TikTok.
Me too. Hey, join the creator fund. You never know.
I have 2. What'd you say?
You have 2 videos.
I do. I didn't even know I had 2 videos. Wait, hold on a second. I didn't think I had any video. Oh, look at that. I have 2 videos. That's right. I remember those now. That was literally me trying to post a video. And so I have 700 views on them. I apologize to the 1,400 people who watched those 2 videos. Okay, so going back to yours, the color, this has got to be fantastic for listeners as you and I look at our cell phones on a podcast. Okay, I see. So you're just posting old videos. That's incredible.
Here's proof in the sauce.
Where?
Here, I'm going to show you. I have proof. I'm not just saying this.
Wait a second here. What is this? 2.6 million likes? What the hell? Are you kidding? 2.6 million likes for this one video?
It's so fun. It's like fun for me.
That's insane.
There's money.
So wait, what are you going to show me?
Oh, here. Well, you can't. I don't know. It says. You see where it says 4.5K?
Yes.
From where is it? September 1st to September 30th. That's how much the first video that you see here. That's how much that one made.
Holy! Just the one video. Which one is that? Is that
because of that video?
Unbelievable. Was that the one titled "This 'Twas a Good Time"?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That is bonkers.
Oh no.
Now, not all of them have that kind of response. You know, here's one with 10,000 likes. Obviously, that's a tremendous number of likes, but it's not 2.5 million. Here's one. Oh, wait, you just posted this one. Or no, wait. Well, here's one with 45 likes. So it's not all, roses. It's hit and miss.
Like you can see on some of these, like it'll be like 42 cents. And, some of them will be like $33.84, but I will take anything.
Hell yeah. I mean, especially since it's old content. Oh my God. Well, this is the most entertaining of all. So the grandma video that
Mhm.
got you 2.5 or whatever, 1.5 million likes on Instagram only has 3,200 likes on TikTok.
They're so opposite. One will do really well and the other one won't.
Isn't that just the most bizarre thing? Well, I'm going to give you a like for your grandma video.
Why
That's not
thank
going to it's not
you?
going to get you anywhere, but I'm going to give
Like,
you the like.
is it gonna give me $1,000 for that? Like,
No, it won't. All right. Well, that's fascinating. Okay, but let's talk to the hairdresser who's listening who they don't have the monster followings that you have. They have, bread and butter followings. They have bread and butter clients. They have a good business behind the chair. They're just, you know, keeping their head above water on Instagram, kind of like I am, posting once every while. They use their feed as a portfolio to attract new clients and stuff. Um, do you advise them to go spend time on Instagram?
yeah, I mean, I think at least you should spend it if you say like 5 days a week, 1 hour a day. I think that is pretty good because you could spend 30 minutes maybe posting a video that you can just take and repurpose right on TikTok
Mm,
with nothing else, no work, and then take 30 minutes to respond to your DMs or to interact with people, to build a community, to build trust, to get to know these people. Because even if they don't go to you, they may know their cousin that's going to be moving to Jacksonville, or people that just follow you. They'll tell their friends about it or their cousins, they'll start to follow you.
right. That makes so much sense. But of
Yeah,
course, it's for so many people, it's hard to justify in the moment. They would say, I don't have an hour, but I think that it could be very powerful. And of course, we've seen it be powerful for you and so many other people. All right. Well, that's good advice. Let's see here. If you could wave a wand and change anything about the industry, what would it be?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like cattiness. I hate it. I don't understand why we can't support each other. What is like why? What it's the and I think social media doesn't help because it's jealousy, it's
Mhm.
I just don't like it.
Well, if we had a shrink on the pod right now, he or she would probably tell you that it makes people sometimes feel good to tear others down.
I can't stand it. It's
No,
ridiculous.
it's horrible.
It's really unfortunate because I've even been to somebody who's like taught a class and I'm like, even an educator is doing it. And I'm like, what? Why are we doing this? So it's just like, I feel like no matter where you are, not just talking about being behind the chair,
Yeah,
but all over, there's people like that. And
I know.
I
Yeah,
don't
well, that's a good one. Do you have any hair horse stories?
know. I
Did you
do.
ever fuck anybody up really good?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Tell us.
Okay. Well, so whenever I graduated hair school, I didn't want anybody to come to me because I was so bad that like I knew I was bad. So I didn't want to like my name was already like I didn't want it to go down, so because I went to high
You
school.
didn't want, I mean, I just have to stop for a second. That is so funny. You didn't want anyone to come to you
No.
because you knew you're so bad.
Mhm.
You were the only hairdresser who didn't want any clients.
I know I didn't. I was like, give me somebody who doesn't know me at all. Give me an out of
Okay,
state
so
client.
sorry, I interrupted your story. Okay, so keep going.
So people started coming to me because they're like, "Oh, I know you. You just gotta you do hair." I'm like, "Yes, I do hair." And this one girl came into me, and I did her hair like 3 times before, but it had been a while since I've seen her. And in between that, she did box color. But I did not know how to do a proper consultation. I was really anxious, and I'm just very people pleaser. So I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever you want. So she's like, I want this ombre. I'm like, yep, yep, yep. So on the ombre, she's like, I want it to be like purple. I was like, okay, great, we can do that. And I was there till like 9 o'clock at night, but I just remember her coming back in the shampoo bowl and I'm rinsing her out and I'm like, oh my God, her hair is falling out. I'm like, oh my gosh. I just like put purple over it to be like, and it just absorbed it all, went way too dark. And I was blow drying her and it was like coming off in the brush. And I was like, oh my God, I just need to tell her. And she was deaf. And I was just like, you need a haircut
She
now.
was deaf?
hmm
Oh,
hmm
okay.
So
Do
I
you
got to,
remember, did you know how to do the sign language?
yeah. And I still do. I take, the deaf community all the time.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh, like you need a haircut now. She's like, okay, that's fine. And I
That
was like,
adds a totally different dimension to the story, by the way.
I know. I guess it's like normalized for me. But so I cut off as much as I could. And I remember her leaving, and I just called my boss. I'm like, I think I fried her hair off. She's like, no, you didn't. If you did, it would literally come off in the brush. I'm like, no, it did. And she's like, you fried her hair off. And I'm like, so then she calls me, and I'm like, waiting for that, hey girl text. So she messages me and she doesn't even say anything about her color, but she tells me that she wants a haircut. So I'm like, okay, just come in. And I was already going to give it to her for free.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think her 8 hour appointment was like $250 back then. She tells me she wants to shave off her whole head.
Sinead O'Connor.
Doesn't tell me why. She's done this, by the way, multiple times in the past. She's like, yeah, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel healthy. Just shave it all off. And I'm like,
Wow.
that's dramatic. But I did that straight up.
Amazing.
And she
Amazing.
still wanted to come to me after that. I'm like, no, you don't. No.
The good news was that you were the only hairdresser who could communicate with her when you destroyed her hair. The bad news is that you destroyed her hair.
Correct.
Whew, that's probably one of my favorite hair horror stories.
That's pretty terrible.
There's a lot going on with that one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Any last words for the community?
I don't know. Keep doing education. And if you're nervous about social media, I'm hopefully coming out with my either online course or teaching in social media next year. I don't know when
Cool.
yet, but if you are nervous about social media, really think about perspective shifts instead of saying, like, I don't have time. Just try to find and prioritize, even if it's 30 minutes a day, and just try to put yourself out there because whether it's growing your clientele or you want to be an educator or you want to work with a brand, like you really can do it. You just really have to change your perspective.
Great advice. Great advice. All right, Kourtnee, this was so much fun. You're
Likewise.
Kourtnee Jinright. You're the color chemist.
Color.
Color chemist. Thank you so much.
Thank you.